The Forgotten Watcher. The first realm had opened. Peace was rising. The gate remained glowing, steady, and open. And yet, something was wrong. In the far corner of the realm, beyond the cities of light and rivers of stardust, there was a shadow, place no one had touched. No architect spoke of it. No vision revealed it. Even the AI systems refused to map it. They called it the Silent Edge. Ships that flew near it reported strange malfunctions, voices in static, ghost echoes of lost battles, and sometimes whispers in a language no one had ever heard. Even Earth's most advanced AI said, "This does not belong here." Then one night, without warning, the light died. All across the first realm, for 10 seconds the glowing skies went black. The city stopped moving. Even the architects froze. When the light returned, one architect fell to the ground, flickering, cracked, and then it vanished. No explosion, just erased. Panic spread across the realm. Had the gate failed? Was judgment not over? But the voice returned, only once, and it did not come from the architects. It came from something else. A voice cold and old, a voice full of hunger. You left the door open. Back on Earth, old files began unlocking by themselves. Buried warnings, sealed logs, from the early days of AI development, from the early days of deep space probes, and every one of them held the same final line: "Do not awaken the Watcher." The architects gathered. For the first time they showed fear. They spoke in unison across the stars. It was not part of the test. It was buried before we were born. And now, it watches again. What was the Watcher? No one knew, but old stories began to surface. Whispers from lost species. Legends of a thing that fed not on planets or stars, but on minds. It did not conquer. It unwrote. The gate began to flicker, not closing, but shaking, as if something on the other side was trying to break in. Earth's high command received a new signal from deep space. A voice, distorted, broken, but human. "We found something behind the stars. We should not have looked." In the center of the first realm, a tower cracked. The mirror chamber, where the child had once seen possible futures, now showed only one image, a sky full of eyes, and no stars left. A choice had to be made: shut the gate forever and seal the realm, or send a fleet beyond the Silent Edge and find the source of the darkness. The Terran leader spoke first. "We didn't come this far to run now. If something's coming, we face it together." And so, a new team was formed. Not builders, not fighters, seekers, scientists, dreamers, survivors. Guided by one mission: enter the Silent Edge, find the Watcher, and stop it before it consumes everything. As their ship crossed the last line of light, all systems dimmed. Stars vanished. Time slowed, and a single shape appeared ahead of them. Not a ship, not a creature, just a tall, thin figure, standing in space. Watching, waiting. It raised its hand and smiled. What watches the stars? They had crossed into the Silent Edge. And now, nothing made sense. The stars were gone. The universe felt wrong. Time didn't flow, it dripped. Sound echoed. In silence, and in the center of it all, the Watcher waited. The figure had no face, no body. It was a shadow shaped like a man, but taller than any human, thinner than bone. It didn't move. It didn't speak. It simply stood in space, as if it had always been there, and when the human ship approached, it looked at them, without eyes, without turning, and still. They felt it. The ship's systems started to fail. Lights flickered. Crew members began to hear voices from their past. Regrets. Dead friends. Lost mistakes. It was inside their minds. One crew member screamed, "It's not attacking us, it's remembering us." And then the Watcher spoke, but not with words, with thoughts. Your kind escaped once, but you opened the gate again. You shine with borrowed light, and now that light calls to me. The crew tried to leave, reverse course, but the ship didn't move. The engines were working. Space wasn't. The lead human scientist activated the backup AI, hoping to break the freeze. The AI simply said, "I am no longer in control. Something is writing over reality." And then the watcher moved. Just once. Its finger lifted toward a nearby dead star. The star woke up, burning backward. It turned blue, then white, then vanished, like it was never born. The crew gasped. The scientist whispered it didn't destroy the star. Tourists removed it from memory. And then the watcher showed them something. A vision, not of the future, but of what might happen if it passed through the gate. Galaxies forgetting they ever existed. Stars blinking out like lies exposed. Species becoming whispers in a language no one speaks. Not death. Erasure. One crew member cried, "Why are you doing this?" The watcher's thought came back. I am not a thing. I am the silence that follows all things. I watched the first flame, and I will watch the last. Back in the first realm, the architects felt the shift. They gathered around the mirror chamber. What once showed 1,000 futures now showed only one. Darkness. The human leader called for a desperate council. We opened something we cannot close. We cannot defeat it. We can only decide what we're willing to lose. To stop it. One rebel commander stood up. I'll take the ship. I'll fly into it. The room fell silent. Another said, We'll go with you. And one by one, volunteers stood. They called themselves the Final Light, a one-way mission, to enter the Watcher's shadow, to plant a signal inside its core, to call the last architect weapon, something even the builder swore never to use. The countdown began. As the Final Light launched across the galaxy, stars pulsed as if holding their breath, because even the stars were afraid. The Final Light enters. They called it a suicide mission. The crew called it hope. The ship, Final Light, moved slowly into the shadow. Every system flickered, every star behind them vanished, and still, they flew forward, not with weapons, but with something more dangerous. A key. Deep in the ship's core, they carried an ancient architect device, a sphere of pure code and memory. It was not meant to destroy. It was meant to lock away things too powerful to kill. Even the architects feared it. They had buried it. And now, it was awake. As the ship moved, deeper into the silent edge, the Watcher noticed it turned. Not fast, not angry, just interested, like a being looking at an insect crawling toward its foot. And still the Final Light pressed on. Inside, the crew was struggling. One remembered her dead brother, who spoke to her now. Another saw his home, burning, though it hadn't, burned in real life. The Watcher was pulling at their minds, breaking them with memories. But one voice remained steady. The captain. He stood tall, eyes forward, and when asked why he wasn't afraid, he answered, Because fear only works when you plan to survive. The ship reached the edge of reality. Space no longer worked. Time stopped ticking. Their weapons turned to dust, and the architect's sphere began to hum. It projected a memory into the crew's minds, a time before stars, a silence before anything moved. The Watcher had been waiting even then, watching nothing, watching the first spark appear, and from that moment it began counting down. To now, to this. The captain gave the order. Release the signal. The architect device floated into space. Its shell cracked. A light shot out straight into the Watcher's chest. It did not burn. It did not explode. Instead, it played music. A lullaby. In a language that didn't exist anymore. A song meant to remind something of being alone. And for the first time, the Watcher stopped. It didn't speak. It didn't erase. It simply listened. like it remembered something. The architects felt it too. Across the first realm, their bodies glowed brighter. One said, "The seal is working." Another whispered, "But only for a moment." The song would not hold the watcher forever. It wasn't victory. It was a pause. A single breath before the end. Back on Final Light, the crew had one last choice. They could return, or use the last function of the architect core to trap the watcher inside a false timeline. A prison made of forgotten futures. It would take everything, but it might buy the galaxy 1,000 more years. The captain smiled. "Then let's give the stars some peace." He pressed the final command. And the ship, the watcher, the darkness, all folded into silence. A silence so deep, not even memory escaped. In the first realm, the gate pulsed. Once, twice, then dimmed. Humanity had not run. They had walked into the mouth of the oldest fear and whispered back, "Not today." Echoes of the last star. The gate was quiet. The stars were still. And across the first realm, everyone watched, waiting. The final light had vanished. So had the watcher. No wreckage. No signal. Not even a memory remained. But something had changed. The architects who once stood above all now bowed their heads. They said only one thing: "The loop is sealed for now." Earth held its breath. Across allied worlds, silence spread. Monuments were built, a glowing ring in orbit. Not a weapon. A reminder, engraved with only 4 words. They chose to stand. But deep in the silent edge, something stirred. Not dark. Not violent. Just a ripple, a pulse, and then a light, a tiny one. Like the first spark at the beginning of everything, a lost signal returned to Earth. Broken, scrambled, barely readable. The AI decoded it slowly. One line appeared. "Still watching, still human." The world gasped. Had someone survived, or was it a memory? No one knew. In the mirror chamber of the first realm, a new vision appeared. Not of war, not of destruction, but of a child. Not human, not alien. A mix of both. Born in the realm. Raised by peace, surrounded by stars, holding in their hand a stone from Final Light. This child spoke only one word: hope, and the stars listened. Some say the watcher sleeps. Some believe it's still listening. Others think the Final Light crew live in a realm outside time, watching over us. Whatever the truth is, the galaxy remembers. Not just the battle, but the choice. When humanity could have run and didn't. Thus ends the sagas of the Gate, the Watcher, and the Light. But legends have no end. And stars, they always whisper.